So, Wall Street had one of those mostly positive but not quite exciting days on Wednesday. Hey everyone, it's Thursday morning, October 16th, and welcome back to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella, here to break down yesterday's market action in just 2 minutes. Quick note before we dive in. Today's episode is brought to you by AMF Capital Asset Management Frankfurt. Learn more about our funds and strategies at amf-capital.de. Alright, let's get started. So here's the deal. The Dow pretty much went nowhere, staying flat, while the Standard & Poor's 500 climbed about 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite did a bit better, up around 0.6%. But all three indexes gave up some bigger gains they had earlier in the day. It was one of those choppy sessions where investors couldn't quite make up their minds. Now, the early optimism came from some pretty strong bank earnings. Bank of America reported a huge 23% jump in profits, and Morgan Stanley, even better. Profits surged 45%. Experts said it was one of their best quarters in years, thanks to a flood of deal-making activity across Wall Street this summer. Then, Fed Chair Jerome Powell added to the good vibes. He said that downside risks to employment appear to have risen, which markets took as code for, yeah, more rate cuts are coming. Investors loved that. Odds of a rate cut later this month are basically locked in, and chances of another one in December are sitting near 96%. Still, trade tensions between the US and China kept everyone a little on edge. President Trump hinted at a possible embargo on Chinese cooking oil after Beijing cut its soybean purchases. Meanwhile, China hit back earlier this week with sanctions on 5 US-linked divisions of a South Korean shipbuilder. But there's still a bit of hope on the diplomatic front. Experts say Trump is still expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping later this month. As for Washington, the government shutdown continues, and the White House is reportedly scrambling to figure out how to keep paying military and law enforcement as the standoff drags on. All in all, it was a day of cautious optimism. Strong banks, a dovish Fed, but the same old trade drama. Alright, that wraps up today's Capital Markets Quickie. Join me again tomorrow morning for more market updates. See you then.